A small group of intelligence officers working under President Trump's declassification directive stood at a location in the U.S. within the last few weeks and watched a UAP appear right in front of them. According to several individuals, those officials have asked for a demonstration of how the phenomenon can be lured in, and they finally got one. Congressman Eric Burleson confirmed the same account on a separate podcast just a few days ago. Christopher Sharp at Liberation Times just published an article that explains why the Pentagon's UFO office may be structurally unable to release what is now being witnessed inside the disclosure process. Jeremy Corbell appeared on Fox News this week and confirmed that 46 specific UAP videos are already designated UAP by the U.S. military. And two sources told Sharp exactly how far this disclosure may go and where the curtain is going to come down. Hey followers, I'm Cristina Gomez and welcome to this episode of UFO News Updates. Dan Farah was very clear about what he was told and who told him. He had multiple sources inside the government describe the same demonstration to him before Burleson ever went public with it. So this is not just one voice, it's really a pattern here, and here's what he said on the Danny Jones podcast.
Some of the intelligence officials who have been tasked with identifying what evidence can be lawfully disclosed following President Trump's directive, some of them learned that various agencies and branches of the military had been luring these things in the past, and that they had figured out how to do that. And these intelligence officials asked for a demonstration of that as recent as a couple weeks ago, and apparently saw with their own eyes UAP.
What makes this significant is the timing. According to Farah, the people witnessing the demonstration were the same officials tasked by a current cabinet member with finding out what evidence can lawfully be declassified. And this is all happening right now.
Basically going through the process of trying to identify what evidence exists that can safely be declassified and shared with the American public without becoming a threat to national security. And what I've been told through my relationships is that they are receiving a lot of pushback from the folks who have gatekept this. Despite the fact that there's a presidential directive, they're still getting blocked from getting to this very real evidence that exists.
Christopher Sharp at Liberation Times published a major article walking through the structural problem. AARO's current head, John Kozlowski, has described UAP as really peculiar and perplexing. His predecessor, Tim Phillips, told Sharp the office encountered cases where highly qualified observers saw a performance no human aircraft could produce, and that the office was able to conclusively prove that they were not built by us and not built by any adversary either. According to Sharp, the problem is not what AARO has admitted, the problem is the structure around it. AARO grew out of the AOI MSG, a group that sat inside the office of the Undersecretary of War for Intelligence and Security, which handles counterintelligence and insider threat operations. A Special Access Program Security Manual from 2025 confirms it also oversees the most classified compartments in the entire defense system. So the question is, were whistleblowers ever truly being heard, or were they handling sensitive material straight into the system designed to bury it? Phillips also told Sharp AARO does not have the authority to classify on its own, but it can also apply existing classification guides from other agencies through what is called derivative classification. Sharp reports this is what appears to have happened with the Air Force whistleblower Dylan Borland. Borland gave AARO 3 drawings, 2 were marked classified afterward, and then when asked about it, Phillips didn't deny it. A sitting president signs a directive to declassify, and the legacy program still finds way to slow it all down. So who actually holds the final authority over what we are allowed to see? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. 2 sources told Sharp any forthcoming disclosure may go as far as acknowledging the U.S. possesses recovered exotic vehicles, based on the understanding that other nations possess similar craft and that we are in a reverse engineering race right now. But those same sources told Sharp the technology derived from those craft is unlikely to ever be released, because doing so could compromise national security. So even the best disclosure scenario, the public would learn the objects exist and that other countries have them too, and that is where the curtain comes down entirely. Dan Farah spent 3.5 years building the movie Age of Disclosure with direct access to senior intelligence officials, members of the Senate Intelligence Committee, and former cabinet-level figures. He described that these people told him about the structure of the legacy program, and according to Farah, the CIA acts as the operational quarterback. The Air Force handles retrievals, defense contractors handle reverse engineering, the Department of Energy provides the strictest classification system, which sits outside the normal intelligence community structure entirely.
They also have a classification system that allows to keep all of this extremely secret. They get to, use the classification system that was designed for anything nuclear.
Right.
So the classification system that they go by is like outside of the intelligence community's classification system. It's even more secret.
And here's the part that connects everything together. Farah said that when he tried to interview members of the Special Forces community for his film, one of them ultimately declined and used very specific language about why.
There were a few people actually, who ultimately decided that it would be too dangerous for them to speak up about what they know. The one that always stays in my head is someone who's part of the Special Forces community who was going to do an interview and talk about what he had learned, and then ultimately he used very specific words that have stayed in my head. He ultimately told me that after long conversations with his wife, they both determined he would be forfeiting his life if he participated in the film. And I always thought the use of the word forfeiting was very specific and terrifying.
Yeah.
You don't ever want to hear anyone
especially
say that.
Coming from a Special Forces guy.
Yeah, and it almost the vibe I got when I first heard that was it was the kind of word choice that like made you think like someone else had said that to him.
That is the same atmosphere Sharp describes around Arrow, the same pressure that has surrounded UAP whistleblowers for decades. And it is happening at the exact moment when an active disclosure process is supposedly underway. Jeremy Corbell appeared on Fox News this week and addressed the 46 classified UAP videos that Congress has been pushing the Pentagon to release.
I think that these are data points. I think these 46 videos are really important. I think the American public should be able to see them, and so does Congress. They specifically identified these 46 videos because they know that these videos exist. They are designated UAP by our own military and intelligence services. I have been exposed to a number of these. In fact, George Knapp and I provided that list to Congress. We've actually released some of those videos. So the American public is ready for this. Now, what it's going to tell us, what the end result is going to be, it's another data set of footage the American public can look at. But here is what I know for fact, Peter. There are machines, there are craft of unknown origin that fly with impunity in our restricted airspace, and our government has been assessing this as a national threat for decades.
So, put the pieces together. The Pentagon's UAP office has confirmed extraordinary cases on the record. Sharp's article shows the office is structurally limited to what it can release. Trump has issued a directive, and Farah confirms that directive is being actively blocked. I'm Cristina Gomez, and that's it for today. I will see you again tomorrow at 10 a.m. PST for another UFO news update. Be safe, and remember, keep your eyes on the skies. you enjoyed today's show, hit that like button. And if you're not subscribed, what are you waiting for? Hit the notification bell as I do daily UFO news and updates. Fresh UAP stories, government disclosures, and breaking developments land here every single day.